Good evening. Patricia Joyce, Chairman of the Auburn Democratic Town Committee. On behalf of the entire membership, I welcome you to 2015 Candidates Night. ADTC is pleased to once again be conducting this important forum. Thank you to our Town Manager, Julie Jacobson, for the use of the community meeting room at Town Hall. The local channel committee, Manager Chris Hugo, and our camera operator for tonight, Norman LaFlash. Welcome to our guests in the room with us tonight. Many of you are advocating for one candidate, while others are attending to hear and learn from all candidates. Welcome to our audience watching at home and those watching a replay. Our Auburn community thanks you for your civic engagement. We are honored to have with us the grandchildren of Joe Hamill. Catherine wasn't able to be here tonight. Elizabeth is here, Laura and Barbara Rizzoli, and Olivia Hamill. They have been our greeters and will serve as our timekeepers. Our friend Joe passed away in March. He exemplified a true champion of civic involvement and was a valuable member of the ADTC. Joe worked on the early logistical planning for this event and certainly made this evening possible. We remember him tonight. Congratulations to each and every candidate on the May ballot. Personal invitations were mailed to all candidates who qualified for the town-wide ballot. Thank you to our member, Ann Weston, for her diligent efforts on the invitation and responding to the candidates. We are pleased to have had our invitation accepted by, first, in the order we present this evening, for the office for election, and additionally, in the order the name appears on the printed ballot. Board of Selectmen, incumbents, Doreen Goodrich, Kenneth Holstrom, challenger Stephen Consilvio. For School Committee, incumbents George Scobie and Dorothy Sutton. For Town Clerk, Deborah Grimo, Nicholas Hammond. Before I turn the evening over to tonight's moderator, Dan Carpenter, who will inform of the format and the rules in a concise manner so we can start what you've all come to hear. I ask those present to congratulate all the candidates for election on May 19th.
All right. Thank you, Trish. If anybody can hear me. As Trish said, all of the candidates for town-wide office, except town meeting members, have been invited tonight. Each candidate will be given an opportunity to make an opening and closing statement of up to 2 minutes. Each candidate will be asked to select a question, then hand that question to the moderator for it to be read. The candidate will have up to 2 minutes to answer. Each candidate will have 2 questions to answer. Trish has gone over the order of officers, so I'll skip that. Audience members are asked to refrain from acknowledging individual candidates until all candidates have had asked their questions. At the end of each segment, the moderator will ask for general applause. At no time should candidates or audience members engage in personal attacks or comments directed at any person involved in the forum. We want this to remain a lively but civil discussion, providing voters a chance to hear candidates answer pertinent questions and give reasons why they are seeking to serve. Please silence all cell phones. And with that, I think we will start. So, what's that? We will go to Mrs. Goodrich, who is the first.
Good evening. My name is Doreen Goodrich, and I'm proud to be a candidate for re-election to the Board of Selectmen and to keep Auburn moving forward. I'd like to begin tonight by thanking the members of the Auburn Democratic Town Committee for organizing this forum. I've had the honor of serving you as a member of the Board of Selectmen for the past 6 years, the past 2 as chairman. We've made tremendous progress as a community over the past 6 years, and I'm proud of what we've achieved. We've put our town's fiscal house in order and set us down the path to long-term stability. We've improved Auburn's bond rating to a AA+, secured over $2 million in competitive grant awards, enabling us to improve services and generating a cost avoidance to the taxpayers at the same time. We have increased free cash, our stabilization fund, as well as excess levy capacity and reserves. All of these will put us in better positions to address needed expenses, maintain vital services for residents, and avoid burdening the taxpayer. During my tenure, the board has updated all of its written policies. Additionally, we've updated all town forms and license applications to ensure consistency and fairness. Critically, we've updated town bylaws that fall under the purview of selectmen, a comprehensive review which had not been undertaken in decades. But I've always felt that the real value in government comes where it directly interacts with, helps, and serves our residents. We've implemented regular office hours for residents to have a chance to sit down and talk directly with members of the Board of Selectmen, improve emergency communication, and expand town's presence on social media. I'm proud of what we've achieved here in Auburn over the past 6 years, but there is much work left to do. Again, my name is Doreen Goodrich. I have deeply enjoyed the opportunity to work towards meaningful change for our community, and I respectfully ask you for your vote on Tuesday, May 19th, so I may continue to fight for Auburn. Thank you.
All right,
So I have a question.
you do. The Auburn Fire Department has issued a social media policy. The City of Worcester is also addressing social media issues with concerns of bullying, hate speech, and public shaming. Does our entire community need to address an issue of social media context? Why or why not?
Well, certainly I think if it falls under the town, the umbrella of the town, yes. I think like online issues alone with no accountability and no responsibility has just made it too easy for people to say and do things they might not to your face. The issue with doing it on the town's website is, of course, you open the town to a huge liability. You know, you can't just say what's on your mind, put it out there, and expect not to have consequences. And so I fully support the chief's policy. I know that Mrs. Jacobson closely monitors what is put. It's limited to what people can post on the town's website, and I would hope that whatever department or other agency under the purview of the town would follow the close process as well.
Very good, thank you. All right, we will move to Mr. Holstrom. We'll get you to...
Thank you, and good evening. My name's Ken Holstrom, and I'm running for re-election to the Board of Selectmen. I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Auburn like my mother and father before me, and I graduated from Auburn High in 1971. I received my engineering degree from Wentworth in Boston. I've been employed at Factory Mutual Engineering, FM Global, as an engineer for 30 years, and live with my wife, Kim, on Central Street. We have one daughter, Julie, who graduated from Auburn High School in 1999 and lives in Franklin with her husband, John, and my favorite 2-year-old granddaughter, Jackie Rose. I joined the Auburn Fire Department in 1969 and served as a call firefighter. Then a call lieutenant, retired from the Auburn Fire Department in September 2011 after 42 years of service. I've been a town meeting member for 28 years, served on the school buildings committee, school committee, and the charter review committee. I'm running for re-election to the Board of Selectmen because Auburn's my home and I deeply care about it. And if re-elected, I will continue to work hard to bring progress to Auburn. I will continue to support the reforms to town government, which have resulted in significant savings to the taxpayers and the residents of Auburn. Over the past 3 years, I've supported work with the town administration to reduce legal costs by negotiating contracts in-house done by the town manager, reduce motor vehicle and building repair costs with the creation of a fleet maintenance and facilities division under the Public Works Department, an annual savings in fleet maintenance of $25,000, in excess of $600,000 in facilities savings to date. We've achieved green community status, resulting in reduced municipal energy costs and an increase in energy efficiencies and municipal. Thank you. I will continue to collaborate with the school administrator to provide Auburn students with an excellent education, and I will continue to work hard for you and the town of Auburn to keep it strong, vibrant, and progressive. And I ask for your vote on Tuesday, May 19th.
In recent years, the town has moved closer to equity in tax classification. Please explain your position for the division of taxes between the residents and business owners.
Since I was elected to the Board of Selectmen 3 years ago, we've had many discussions with business owners and also just a general discussion here with the Board of Selectmen. We want to keep the town progressive, vibrant. We want to keep the businesses in town and keep moving forward. However, we don't want to give all the businesses a break on their taxes and give it to the residents and let them bear the burden. There's got to be some equality between the two of them. I would like to see some balance at some point down the road. We've made small steps towards going to the equal tax rate, but I don't believe that we can do it all at once. I believe that the residents should be heard. We should see what they have to do. Limited incomes are a difficult thing, and I do recognize that. And again, if we bring business into town, we have a tax revenue base. However, if the taxes are not equivalent to what we need, I would believe that the residents don't need to bear that burden, and I think we should be able to help them out one way or another.
Thank you. Steve?
Hi, my name is Steve Consilvio. I'm a candidate for Selectman, and I wanted to thank the Auburn Town Committee for hosting this. The reason I'm here, I was a history major in college. I've owned my own business for 25-something years, and I'm a printer, I guess, by trade. And like everybody else, you sort of engage the economy based on what it throws at you. And so printers have a lot of time to think because the machines run and you can sort of sit back and relax. And after a couple of cycles, and we've seen enough election cycles and economic cycles, I came to a few conclusions about what's actually driving the system. And so I'm running today ultimately to change the system, not because anybody's doing anything wrong. This town runs very well. But we all know that there are things wrong basically in the country and in the world, and we need to fix the bigger issues. You know, there's the think global and act local. But when it comes to recycling, that works great. But when it comes to the economic system, how do you act locally? Because basically, we've been following the same process that has been with us for thousands of years. And we need to change this process, but it's a very difficult thing to change. So I actually wrote a book. It sort of gets into the problem. But the linchpin to changing the system is to leave the property tax at the local level and go to an income tax at the local level. Revenue neutral. It's not a tax cut, not a tax increase, but eliminating one framework of taxation, and that change of thinking would set the stage for a bunch of other things. And that's basically why I'm here tonight.
Thank you, Steve. The cost of legal counsel is often a subject of discussion in our community. For the residents' understanding, please give 2 to 3 scenarios when legal counsel should be utilized.
Okay, well, if you're at the point of legal counsel, you've already had a social collapse of some sort, because 2 people that need to agree are not able to agree. So you're going to a third party and asking them to act as the judge, but actually the 2 people themselves, who are the participants in the conflict, need to resolve the conflict. And even though one may get the judge to agree with them, you know it's going to come back around again, and another judge will disagree, and then sort of like we're seeing with the appeals courts and all of the cases that go all the way up to the Supreme Court. the premise of democracy is that we're supposed to gather in a room and hash it out. We're not actually supposed to go to a third party. There is no third party to ask. So, Shakespeare, I think, was said, the first thing to do is to shoot the lawyers. It's not a question of shooting the lawyers. We should be able to go through the process as a democracy and resolve these issues without needing legal counsel. Ideally, we should be all enlightened enough to work out our own solutions.
Thank you. A suggestion of a goal of the Board of Selectmen is for a Selectmen's monthly local cable TV show. If you were given the first production decision, what would your topic or focus be?
Interesting. That was actually one of my recommendations for a local cable show. And I think that we need to give residents an opportunity to be heard by the Board of Selectmen, share their ideas, and even showcase themselves. I mean, we have some really well-educated and talented people out living in Auburn, and I'd like to see resident participation at actually each one of these suggested monthly cable shows, which I believe failed as one of the goals, but I intend on pursuing.
All right, thank you. Fitchburg has an indoor water playground. Clinton has Central Park. Hudson has a rail trail for walking and biking. Uxbridge has the Blackstone River, and Sturbridge has a historic village. If you had a magic wand, meaning all things were possible, what would you make available in our community?
It's an interesting question. It's come up in debate many times of the Board of Selectmen, especially with the post property on South Old Road. I feel that we have to take a look at the town, ask the questions of what people are interested in, and not so much a money generated and revenue received project that, bringing people into town. I think we need something to bring the community together, similar to the Pappas Park that we have now. It's brought a lot of the community members together. We have town functions there, and I think it's something we have to look at closer to bring more of the community together than bringing outside individuals into the town to support the town.
Does the Board of Selectmen or any board have a right to question individual operating decisions of the town manager or her subordinates, or are the selectmen only to set policy direction and judge the manager's overall performance?
That's an interesting question. In the context of the town government, we had New England had town meetings, and town meetings were basically the people who were in charge of the system. The town meeting then abdicated some of their authority to the Board of Selectmen. And with the charter change, the Board of Selectmen abdicated some of their authority to the town manager. So the question becomes whether or not you actually believe in checks and balances, and whether or not you believe the people should have a direct voice in the participation of their government. So all laws are basically subject to interpretation. So the question is not whether or not the Board of Selectmen can step on the toes of the town manager or the town manager's subordinates. The question is how are you going to actually conduct business day to day? Because you really have to have a working relationship. As an owner of a business, I had to have a working relationship with my vendors and my customers and my employees. It wasn't a question, if you're going to be an autocrat, you're not going to get anywhere. And you can have that autocratic attitude in any one of those positions where you don't want to listen to what anybody has to say, and you're just going to do it your way. And people do that as employees, and they do it as the boss, and they do it as irrational customers sometimes. So, ultimately, we all have to get along. So if there's an issue, we have to bring up these issues. We have to have honest and frank discussions. And sometimes they're uncomfortable, sometimes they're uncomfortable. But it's not really a question of, I don't believe, of the letter of the law. It's actually about the participants and the attitude of the participants. I'm doing the police, well, I'm out of time.
You're out of time.
Sorry.
So we'll start closing statements. Mrs. Goodrich?
Okay, I'm going to keep mine really simple. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this forum. As I've stated previously, I have enjoyed serving as your selectman. Over the past 6 years, I've learned so much. I love this town. I feel I've been effective. I've been accessible. I've been responsible in my decision-making, and I'm committed to the well-being of the town of Auburn. I respectfully ask for your vote on May 19th. Thank you.
Mr. Holstrom?
As I noted earlier, I have a work ethic that I was brought up on, a good work ethic that my mother and father taught me, and also was supported by my mother and father-in-law. I have an interest in the town. I work hard. I've been working for 30 years. I've been in the fire department here for 42 years, school committee, buildings committee. I have a real interest in the town. I live here, I love it here, and I will continue to stay here. I would like to thank the town administration, Julie Jacobson, and our CFO, Ed Kasanovich, the town department heads, our volunteers, committee members, and board members for all the work that they do. I think it's brought the town together. It's very supportive, and we are working well together. And to the Democratic Town Committee, I thank you for my opportunity tonight to speak to you. Please vote, register to vote, but I would appreciate your vote on May 19th, Tuesday. Thank you.
Mr. Consilvio?
I'd like to thank everybody again for coming out tonight. I realize that sitting here and saying we should abandon the property tax when it's been the status quo for some hundreds of years is a pretty crazy idea. But the reality is that the federal government uses an income tax, the state government uses an income tax, and there's absolutely no reason why the local government cannot also use the income tax. The driving force of all of the economic problems in this country is from inflation. And the thing that is driving all of the inflation is property. So as we say we want prices to go up, everybody gets poorer because the more expensive it is to live, the lower your standard of living will be. So if you want to raise your standard of living, you have to lower the cost of living. And for some reason, the property tax is the linchpin, because as the town gets it invested, is vested in the idea of having higher property taxes because there's more revenue, you just sort of cycle into a system that you can't get out of. In Worcester today, they put together a committee, 17 people. It's going to start in June. They're going to come out with a solution in the spring of what to do with the property tax. There's only two things you can do with the property tax. It can either go up or it can go down. Or you can leave it alone, or you can abandon it and go to a completely different system. I would suggest we do the fourth one, because it'll work if we do some other changes after that. This is just the opening step, and you have to vote for somebody today. You probably don't know me very well. If you can go online and read my book, it's for free, not a big deal. If you've got the appetite and the hunger, you can go in and dig into what I'm talking about. However, your vote is just about trust. Do you trust me to do the right thing? I still got to convince my other board members to follow. I can't lead unless other people will follow, and it's basically up to you to help me. Thank you.
Thank you. And please join me in acknowledging Mrs. Goodrich, Mr. Holstrom, and Mr. Consilvio. Welcome. Thank you for participating. As we said in our opening, contested races or not, we invited all candidates for townwide office to come, and we are appreciative of Mr. Scobie and Ms. Sutton for being willing to participate and share their ideas, answer questions, and their thoughts on their offices. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Scobie for his opening statement.
I'd like to thank the Democratic Town Committee for having us here this evening. So far, it's been a great event. I enjoyed the Board of Selectmen forum. I would say that, let me start by saying I came to Auburn just about 10 years ago. So born and raised in Worcester, went to Worcester Public Schools. Became a mason contractor, worked in the Bricklayers Union, and I got into teaching in the vocational trades about 15 years ago. So I've been involved with schools for the past 15 years. I was approached 3 years ago from a few gentlemen in town who were heavily involved in town politics. One, Mr. Joe Hamill, God rest his soul, and Paul Koski, and there are actually a few others. The list could go on and on. Well, I made the mistake of one day saying that, someday, since I'm so involved with my own school, I may be interested in a position with the Auburn School Committee. Well, that was the end of that. It was about a month later, and I was in. I was on the Auburn School Committee, and it's been a great experience so far. It's been my pleasure advocating for our children and representing the people of our town. It's really been a fantastic experience, a learning experience. I thank the past committee members, Leanne Gibbrey, Liz Gribbins, Jeff Laurie. I owe a lot to them as far as what I've learned over the past 3 years, especially Jeff Laurie. He was a mentor. He made me very comfortable taking over as chair of the school committee. And so for the past 3 years, I really enjoyed my time, and I look forward to another 3.
Thank you. We'll go right to Ms. Sutton.
All right. Thank you also for inviting me to participate in the candidates forum this evening. I'm the new girl on the scene. Since my appointment to the committee 8 months ago, I have worked hard to become fully engaged in as many aspects of the position as possible, including serving on the school reuse committee, as well as assisting with the ABA contract negotiations, and now the assistant principal for the new Swanson Road School. While I'm still learning, I can confidently say that the more I learn, the more proud of being an Auburn resident I become. I find the work, and George can attest, it is work, to be quite compelling, and I consider it an honor to have had the opportunity to serve in these past 8 months the community in this capacity. I'm committed to put forth as much effort in this next term, if not more, as I have before. So without further ado, let's start questions.
Thank you. Question 1. What is your understanding of the role of the superintendent? Please explain your expectations for the role of the superintendent.
Wow, this is a good one. The superintendent is responsible for just about everything. And we say that school committee is responsible for setting policy and budget. The superintendent brings forward that budget and brings forward those policies. So these items have been looked after quite well from the leadership team and the superintendent before they come to us. So in a nutshell, the superintendent really oversees everything that happens in the Auburn Public Schools or any school system, as well as her dealings with the town side. Now, we have some conversations with town administration, but we leave that heavily up to our superintendent, who does a fantastic job at that. And hopefully she's around for, and her name is Mary Ellen Brunel, by the way. I should probably say her name if I'm going to pay her all these accolades. Hopefully she's with us here in Auburn for many years to come.
Okay, thank you. All right. Do you personally know a school choice student attending Auburn Public Schools? What guidelines would you use for the decision to continue the availability of school choice in the district?
Yes, I am proud to say that I do know at least one school choice student. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name or not, but all I can say is that knowing this one student, I would gladly support having more school choice students in our community. I have found them to be leaders, to work as hard, if not harder. Then they're very happy to be here, and they make the community proud. So I would absolutely advocate for that.
Second question. A community group wanted to have the name of the high school changed to honor a former student. What responsibilities do board members have regarding specific advocacy of a citizen group? What is the public relations role of Auburn School Board?
Okay, first of all, we've been through this in the past, in recent years. It was a very difficult topic. I believe the big one, Major David Broder. That was settled right before I came on board, but I was there for the final meeting when they voted on it. But it was pretty much settled. Really, it's a situation where I believe it's up to the members of the town to choose what the school name is going to be, and that's where there was a divide. We had some people who at one point were getting along very well, and as the process went on, there was a lot of name calling, and it really turned into a vicious situation. I think in the end, we ended up with the best of both worlds. We were able to honor Major David Broder, and it worked out great. But I think we did build a consensus. I'm not quite sure how they did it because I wasn't on board then. As I said, in the end, it worked out well. But I really think, like anything that we do on the school committee, it comes back to the residents. It's up to them. They need to form their opinions. We need to build a consensus and kind of take what they have to say into consideration before we make any decisions.
Thank you. If a parent or a principal comes to you regarding, for example, a maintenance issue at a particular campus or a situation involving a particular teacher, how do you see your role as a school board member in resolving that issue?
That's a great question because it happens almost every day at pickup. But I would say that depending on the nature of the matter, the first line would be to discuss with George if it is as the chairperson, if it is, and also bring it to the attention of the superintendent directly. We try not to just go to the principal or the teacher. That's really not our role. If it is something having to do with a legal matter, we do not comment on it. And again, we defer to Dr. Rennell and our, whatever legal counsel, because we have, we're accountable to the law as well as to the privacy of the families. And just, some of the standard maintenance issues, we don't have so much control about that, especially, the boys' bathroom is out of toilet paper 2 days in a row. Well, you can certainly talk to the principal about that yourself. So we try to steer the parents in the appropriate direction that fits the situation.
Thank you. Please join me in acknowledging Mrs. Scobie and Ms. Sutton. Thank you for participating.
Closing statement?
You're allowed 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Perfect. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. As I said, this is a great event, great audience. By the way, we have school committee meetings every other week, so feel free to stop in. We really don't have many of the seats filled, so we'd love to have you. Again, I'm George Scobie. I'm looking forward to another 3 years on the school committee. We are unopposed, and I do appreciate your support. It's as I said, it's been a great 3 years. Some great things are happening in Auburn schools. The buildings being maintained, renovated, the new middle school, standardized test scores. Not that I'm a big proponent of those. We're doing, but they're very high. We're doing very well. Our students are going to some of the best colleges. I'm not going to take any responsibility for that. That is the leadership team. It's the superintendent. The committee, my fellow committee members and myself. It's the town. This town has showed us some unbelievable support. Some towns would be thrilled to have the support that we have in Auburn. The way you support our students, the way you support education in Auburn, it's phenomenal. I can't say enough about it. As I said, I won't take credit for all the good things that are happening. I love being a part of it. I look forward to being a part of it for another 3 years. And I appreciate your ongoing support. I hope that you get out there and vote on May 19th. And please consider voting for me, George Scobie.
Thank you.
All right. So upon conclusion of tonight's event, I do hope that you will feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions about either tonight's topics or other topics that you're just curious about, since I am somewhat new to the school committee. I do take this position very seriously. I strive to serve the students, the school staff, the administration, and the town residents to the best of my abilities all at the same time. So, but it's an exciting time to be involved in the Auburn schools, and I humbly request your support of the polls on May 19th for both myself and my fellow school committee candidates so that we can continue as the cohesive team that we are to serve this great community. So thank you.
Thank you both, and let's another round of applause since I did it out of order. Thank you.
Invite the town clerk candidate present to come forward.
Welcome to you both. Doing so good so far, so let's start with Ms. Grimo, and you have 2 minutes to make an opening statement.
Good evening. I want to thank the Auburn Democratic Town Committee for hosting this forum. I also want to welcome the residents of Auburn and the candidates here tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Deborah Grimo, and I have been a resident of Auburn for the past 29 years, where I have raised my 3 children, and I am running for town clerk. The reason I am seeking this position is Ellen Gabry will be retiring as town clerk, and having served the town as assistant town clerk the past 3 years under her direction is why I am seeking this position. I am a member of the Mass Town Clerks Association, the New England Clerks Association of City and Town Clerks, a member of the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. This July, I graduate from a 3-year program for Certified Municipal Clerk. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from Becker, an associate's degree in retail management. I am a notary public and a justice of the peace. I have the experience, training, and dedication to be your next town clerk. During this time, I have personally performed every task a town clerk would do. I love my job. I am the most qualified person, and I respectfully ask for your support on May 19th. Thank you.
Mr. Hammond?
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for coming, the Auburn Democratic Town Committee, all you folks at home. Let me start out by saying I have some news I'm very excited about. Mr. Armando is not here today. I had spoken to him yesterday, and he has publicly done a press release and endorsed me for town clerk. He has asked that all his friends, family, and supporters support me. While it's too late for him to come off the ballot, I want to thank Mr. Armando for sitting with me, listening to my ideas, and ultimately deciding that I was the best candidate for this race, because I firmly believe I am. Lifelong resident of Auburn, Massachusetts. Many of you may know me at home and in the audience. I'm not going to give you my resume because, frankly, most people don't care about what I do, but they want to know about themselves. So let me tell you 2 ideas that I have that makes me more innovative and a better candidate for town clerk. The first, mobile town clerk. I want to create an apparatus where we can take every function of the clerk's office, everything, notary republic, dog licenses, marriage licenses, birth certificates, put the people and process in place so we can take this, recreate it, and bring it to the senior center, bring it to all the housing authorities where seniors live. So anyone who can't get out, anyone who is immobile, or anyone who just frankly doesn't want to come to town hall can do every function at the senior center that they do at town hall. This is a low-cost, no-cost idea. It's actually a very simple idea. The second one is I'm going to reduce my salary by $5,000. That's $5,000 of my salary will be reduced, transferred into an Auburn High student work program for summer work program and internships. The reason for that is these kids have a tough time finding jobs that work around their school activities and sports schedules. Municipal government not being a profit center, I think we can help them out. It's long overdue, a very easy idea too. Thank you.
Question 1. The town clerk is the chief election officer in the town of Auburn. What should the officer's relationship be towards candidates in the town political committees?
Repeat the last part.
Sure. What should the officer's relationship be towards candidates in the town political committees? So the Democratic or Republican town committee.
Must be neutral towards election or anybody running for an office. You have to be neutral and not show any favoritism or anything.
Okay. All right, question 2. Recently, in our state election, criticism was directed at a gubernatorial candidate for not knowing the percentage of the gas tax. Do you know the current cost of a dog license?
That's a great question. I don't have a dog, so I believe it's $15. I know they raised it at town meeting when I was there by $5, which I opposed because there was actually no reason for it. It's very important that the people who do the day-to-day processing continues to do the day-to-day processing. And I want to bring up a point about that because right now what happens is the clerk retires, the assistant clerk runs, nobody after that runs against them, they win, everything stays the same. The clerk's supposed to be a leader and a manager, not a processor. That question should be directed to the processor. Okay, they need to know the day-to-day operations, the menu in and out, but the leader and the manager needs to create the operations. They also need to create the innovative ideas and everything else that goes along with the clerk's office. So let's leave the processing with the processors, and I'm sure Debbie can answer that because she does it every day. We're gonna keep Debbie there. We're gonna keep Debbie working. We're gonna keep her doing what she does great, and that's the processing, okay? We'll let her worry about how much dog licenses and marriage certificates cost. Let me worry about mobile town clerk. Let me worry about implementing the school work program, which is gonna put these kids to work. They're your taxpayers, they're your tax dollars, and they're your kids, right? So shouldn't it make sense that your tax dollars go back into your kids' pockets? Simple ideas, a concierge at the front door, where a high school kid, if somebody walks into town hall and the high school kid directs them to the building, building department, upstairs, recreation right in front of you. So those types of questions, I don't think are as important for the clerk, who should be a leader, a manager, and an innovator, but more important for the person who's actually taking the money, which is why it's very important that we have strong people to do the day-to-day operations. Debbie will continue to work under my leadership, and the clerk lead. Thank you.
Massachusetts communities have discretion when deciding voting days and hours for municipal elections. Some communities have chosen the weekend day of Saturday for polling. Some communities vote from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. In other communities, polling is the same hours as the state and national elections, voting from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Explain your thoughts on Auburn's choice of the weekday, Tuesday, and hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Well, I think 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. is a good range. I mean, I know the state is 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. The hour difference, I don't think, is a big change. I wouldn't be opposed if we decided to open at 7 a.m. because you know what? Sometimes it's easier for someone that has to work to come in at 7 and then go to work. Nobody likes to leave work or have to be late for work. So depending on that. But as far as 8 to 8, and I believe the weekday is a better day than the weekend. People go away on the weekend. We have a low voter turnout now for the annual election. If it was on a Saturday, we probably would have even lower. So I think Tuesday is a good day, and the hours are great.
Okay, thank you. All right. A duty of the town clerk is keeper of the vault. For the audience, please tell us what exactly that duty is.
That's a very good question as well. Let me answer her question first. I'd like to address that question, then I'll answer the one you asked. I really think we should go to 7 to 8 p.m., and I'll tell you why. Auburn High School drops off their kids between 7:05 and 7:30, and then those parents are off to school. Couple hundred parents drop those kids off right at the polling place every day. So when that happens, they have to leave and go to work. They miss voting. They either have to come back or they don't vote. If they could go drop their kids off and then vote, life would be much easier. Further, if you really want to save money, we should stop the May elections and move them over to November elections. It may require 2 ballots, but you could do it all in one day. It wouldn't be the end of the world, so there's another innovative way to reduce the amount of elections. As far as the keeper of the vault, all the ballots and everything go in there. It's very important that we have secure ballots. There have been mishaps at the clerk's level with ballots in the past, and I don't want to get into it, but those things are very important to be secure, especially right after elections, where record keeping is dire, and anything that's going to be challenged, anything that could be questioned can be answered, so everyone knows they're getting a free and fair opportunity at the ballot. You know, the last thing that we should end any election in is in controversy and accusation, ever. And it's the clerk's job to never be in the paper for election reasons, because it's kind of like when a goalie lets in a goal. The buzzer goes off, right? And everybody knows it. And if you did your job right, you're not in the paper after an election. The scores are tallied. There's a winner, there's a loser, and it's over. And everybody goes knowing that, you know, win or lose, you had a fair opportunity. And as an election official, as somebody who will be overseeing the polls, you know, we have a great group of people there. I intend to keep everyone employed. There's not going to be any wholesale changes for the people who do the polls, for all the wonderful women. I know many of them. They don't have to worry about any employment changes or anything like that. The clerk does a good job doing the elections. I just think we can do a little better. Thank you.
Well, that ends the question portion of our evening, so I will turn it back over to Ms. Grimo for a closing statement.
Thank you again, Auburn Democratic Town Committee, and to all the candidates here tonight, and to the residents of Auburn. Let me begin by saying I am not a professional politician, and nor do I plan to be one. I am not seeking any other office, nor will I seek any other office. I've been a soccer mom that we can all relate to. I am a hard-working, honest, and dedicated to my job and to the residents of Auburn. On May 19th, one of the three candidates, now that we just heard only two, although there are three still on the ballot, are seeking the office of town clerk. If I am privileged enough to be that person, the transition will be smooth and seamless. The only change will be switching desks for me. In the event one of the other candidates is elected, that person will need to rely on me, based on the experience and education I have in the town clerk's office. In this office, experience matters, which is why I am the most qualified person for this position of town clerk, and I respectfully ask for your vote and your support on May 19th. Thank you.
Mr. Hammond?
Thank you. You know, I just want to bring up a point about the town clerk's office, and it's really important. As long as I've been alive, I've grown up in this town, class of 97, Auburn High grad. You guys produced me, so I like to think of moderate success here. But here's what happens. The clerk retires, the assistant clerk runs, largely unopposed, the assistant clerk wins, nothing changes, right? What's wrong with change? We did it in 2008. We did it with the charter change. We took a less experienced candidate for town manager. We took the experienced candidate, we left him, took a town manager who had no experience, and we hired her. Very difficult decision I made. What's wrong with change? What is wrong with that? The people who do the day-to-day operations in the clerk office, that's a largely processing job. It's a day-to-day processing job, okay? The clerk's position should be a leadership job, a development job, a management job, labor negotiations, municipal budgets, community service. All of those things should encapsulate the clerk. I don't see the clerk at all these events and charities. I don't see them creating innovative ideas like the mobile town clerk in the school work program. If you want to keep doing what you've always done, then you're right, I'm probably not the right person. But if you want to go from a good town clerk's office, because they do a good job, to a great town clerk's office with innovative ideas, with someone who's not afraid to fail, yeah, of course I'm going to keep Debbie. A great manager knows what they know what they don't know, and they find the best people and surround them by them. She's going to do a great job processing the day-to-day operations. Let me lead, let me innovate. Let's do the mobile town clerk. Let's do the school work program. And I'm not seeking any other office either. If I was doing this for the money, I wouldn't have just given up $5,000 salary to hire our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, join me in acknowledging Ms. Grimo and Mr. Hammond. With that, we are done with our program. I want to thank all the candidates for participating. I would like to remind the voters that Election Day is Tuesday, May 19th. Voting is held at Auburn High School from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thank you for watching. Thank you for those in the audience who joined us tonight, and much thanks to all of our candidates. Let's give them all another round of applause.